They're all red! Red, 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 red! Hey, I'm on the edge of my seat here, and today I'll be showing off some test footage which I have taken of Yakuza Dead Souls on the Steam Deck. In order to record this footage, I had to use two programs with the Steam Deck. One is called Crankshaft, and the other is called Recapture, and I don't know how to explain them like concretely, so I'm just gonna link the tutorial I followed in order to install them. My emulation of Yakuza Dead Souls also requires you to install the PS3 emulator, which I believe goes PS3 and it is a much easier process than you'd expect, but it still is a bit of a can of worms, so I'll just link a lot of stuff for you to follow because it's definitely worth it. But Yakuza Dead Souls, it's a little more tricky than most PS3 games. You know, certain PS3 games can actually run at 60 FPS, but Dead Souls is built different, to say the least. You definitely need to pay attention to the configuration settings for this game. Those options help a ton, especially the debug configuration, which, well, that tab is hidden by default by RPCS3, which it's a little bit of a pain in the ass to make it show up. There's a couple little files you have to just kind of swim through, a lot of hidden files, especially with the Linux operating system on the Steam Deck, which definitely complicates things, but definitely make sure to get it working, because if you don't, the game will run much worse. Like, even with the best configurations, I'm still running this game at like 480p. Like, I'm just rendering this at like 720 by like 486. It is not the most clear footage of this game. And even then, with this 480p or like even 480i footage, it runs, let's say, slightly worse than the PS3 original. It fluctuates so hard in performance depending on what you're doing. The hub world is always going to run like ass. Some sections of the gameplay actually run pretty smoothly, and sometimes like the text boxes, like I don't know, when you skip them on the PS3 version, it's kind of slow, but here it's a lot faster, well, depending. But then there's times where there's just way too many enemies and the game just starts chugging, and it is just it's just nasty. It's just nasty to experience. Like, you kind of experience that on the PS3 as well, but I'm telling you, the chug gets too immense. One good thing is that whenever you pull up the menu, it's super smooth. Like, it just goes to like the best frame rate possible, and I'm not 100% sure if the game is running at 60 FPS or at a solid 30 when it's at its best performance, because it can definitely feel a lot faster than the PS3 version, and like emulation does allow you to kind of uncap the frame rates. So I will say I did not modify my dump of Yakuza 3 Dead Souls. I do own the game on disc. I had a friend dump it. You can't do the QTE cheese that you could do on the PS3. Like, on the PS3, you could press like the PS3 home button and that would pause the game. So whenever one of these like really fast QTEs would pop up, you can use that to kind of cheese them. I'm pretty sure that's just not possible on the Steam Deck and with the emulation. So for your no damage runs, it's gonna get a lot more difficult. I'm not sure if this is what it is, but I think there is some pretty apparent screen tearing every now and then. And also, there's a visual glitch which happens in certain areas where I don't know what happens with the lighting or the way the graphics work, but the game just suddenly becomes a lot more red. Though I don't really plan on fixing this, because this massively overbearing filter does give it a nice next-gen Kiwami feel, so you know, it can stay. I've definitely experienced the weird crash here and there, though after turning on one of the debug options, my game has almost never crashed, but there has been like one or two times where it has crashed. Like, I don't know, I think at one time it crashed the start menu, another time it crashed when I tried to like display it onto like my TV using an HDMI port. Like, I don't know, the crashes can still happen, but they become like a lot less consistent once the debug option is turned on. Now, yeah, performance is definitely shoddy all across the board, but the one place where I really need performance to shine is during the boss fight. So I decided to test out the first boss fight, and the performance here is mostly pretty solid. That is not a guarantee that the future boss fights will run well, especially the ones which have, let's say, a big crowd involved, because those ran like ass on the PS3. I don't want to see how they run on the Steam Deck. Oh no. The sewer sections run obnoxiously slow. They're definitely some of the worst performance on the Steam Deck. And let me tell you how I recorded this, because even the recording process has its own shoddy elements. So the Recapture program, it's really simple once you have it all set up. I mean, you pretty much can have like a little thing on your menu, your Steam menu, which you can pretty much bring up at any time. You press the record button and it records. However, once I moved like my video files from the Linux operating system to my Mac, I realized that I just straight up did not have any sound from my clips. You know, it recorded all the gameplay and all that, at, you know, the best quality that it could from the Steam Deck, but the audio was completely gone, or so I thought, because I opened my audio files up in Premiere, and my first clip, it had some audio from the Steam Deck when I was navigating the menus and stuff. But once I entered the game, the audio was completely gone. However, for my next 4 clips, I took 5 clips of this game, all the audio was there, and like I started recording when I was inside the game, so maybe that solves that. But what I then noticed is that all the audio is horribly desynced, and even the desyncing has like variables to it, because sometimes it's desynced by like, you know, 3 or 5 seconds, other times it's desynced by like 30 or 40. It gets ridiculous. These issues I don't think are exactly a deal breaker for recording footage. I mean, you know, with the desynced audio, I mean, with the best editing, I could work that out. It'll be a pain in the ass, but it could be worked out, especially with some shorter boss fight videos, which, you know, as long as I don't have to like edit full game walkthroughs or whatever, because that audio would get ridiculous, especially with how inconsistent the desync delays are. Originally, I was planning on recording this with my Elgato recording device, but that went nowhere, at least not with my current tech. But why the Steam Deck? Why am I playing Yakuza Dead Souls on the Steam Deck? Well, it's because my overpriced MacBook, I haven't really done research on whether it could do it or not, but I just believe it. I just know in my heart, my MacBook is not gonna be able to run Yakuza Dead Souls emulated in any capacity whatsoever. Like, I had to replace this at some point, and well, by replace, I mean use something else. I'm not gonna get rid of this MacBook. I still need to edit videos and stuff. But so far, the Steam Deck has been able to perform like much better than my MacBook does most of the time, because my MacBook is just straight up dying. Like, it's running worse than it used to. It's lagging on games it shouldn't be lagging on, and I've definitely expressed my woes with that before. So the Steam Deck has been very convenient in that sense, but there is a lot of new, what's the word, like new kinks to work out. It's kind of like a birthday thing, I forget what. Growing pains, that's the one. That still doesn't answer why I'm doing this instead of just recording footage on my PS3, which I do own. And well, it's because I have a very exciting project in mind for Yakuza Dead Souls, which may or may not pan out very soon, and you'll just have to wait and see and stay tuned for that. So yeah, Lennis, it actually is very much possible to run Dead Souls on the Steam Deck, contrary to your prior beliefs. And I definitely will be running this game a lot more in the upcoming weeks of October. And it is the 1st of October. It's going to get scary. It's going to get scary! It is also worth noting that since Dead Souls can run on the Steam Deck, every other PS3 Yakuza game not only will run on the Steam Deck, it will run much better than the Yakuza Dead Souls. So go play Yakuza Kenzin, or well, it's not even called the Yakuza over there, it's called Ryu ga Gotoku Kenzin. Go play it, it's one of the best Yakuza games of all time. Highly recommend it. Yeah, you will probably need a guide. I'm not sure if the translation patch is done yet, but definitely go play that game. You can also try your hand at emulating Yakuza Ishin, but you're not really going to need to, because, well, I don't know if you should be playing Yakuza Ishin at lower than 60 FPS. And also, there was a bit of an underground announcement. It's gonna get brought over to the West after, 14 years after the original game came out. It's gonna get a Kiwami, so that's gonna be on PC. I don't know if you heard about that though. They didn't really do a big announcement of that. The Kurukio games are also a no-brainer. Like, I think this is more than capable of handling this. And those games also have English patches, so you could actually play those in English. The one for the first game is a little shoddy, it can crash sometimes. The second game has some, kinks to work out, but you can play them in English, so definitely play those kick ass. I'll be back with a brand new video once Chronos stops being a fucking asshole! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you then.